In this lesson, we'll continue working with perspective views. All right, so now if we wanted to add some more views to this, so our game plan is basically 4 perspectives followed by 4 elevations here on bottom. It's very easy. So now that I basically have everything in place how I want it, I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to say Control C for copy, Control V for paste. You'll notice our little timer here. Once we see that arrow or our cursor reappear, we can then move it. So hold down your left click button and simply just drag it across. And we're just going to snap it into place here. Easy as that. So we have this view. So now I'm going to double click inside this view. And actually we can copy over the rest of them really quick as well. So I'm going to do another Control C for copy, Control V for paste in its place. And once I see my arrow appear here, I'm just going to hold down my left click and drag and snap. So I'm going to click, drag, and snap. We'll do one more here. So Control C, Control V. Wait for the arrow, hold down the left mouse click, and we should be in business here. And again, I'm just going with the feel for my snap. You can see it spaces out nicely and keeps everything aligned perfectly. So I'll hit escape to make sure everything locks in place. So now what I want to do is I want to create 4 really cool perspective views that are going to really shed some perspective, no pun intended, on our design here. Actually, a lot of pun intended there. So I'm going to go ahead and double click in here and I'm going to go ahead and orbit around. I'm going to be really careful about how I'm orbiting around. So I'm going to make sure my mouse pretty much stays in place, but I'm going to hold down my wheel and I'm going to choose a new perspective and I'm just going to orbit around carefully. So we get another really interesting view of this building here. So once I'm happy with that, I'll hit escape and that'll actually give me a perspective, or you can click down here. It'll give me a new perspective on this building. So now I'll come back here again. I'm going to double click and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to orbit around some more. Get a glimpse of the building from this perspective. I'm going to kind of align this towards the center of this box here. I'm going to make sure we don't cut anything off. We want to try to keep everything pretty much the same size. So I like that perspective. I'm going to say OK, or basically click out here. And I'm going to go ahead and get the back here. So I'm going to double click in there, orbit around, all the way to the back. Making sure I get that nice little V shape up here. So we'll hit escape. It looks like I could probably zoom in a little bit. This object is pretty much, or this image looks a little bit smaller than the rest. And I'm also going to give it an extra tilt. I'll hit escape and also give me some cool perspective on what this building actually looks like. Now, the cool thing about this is we can actually add shadows if you wanted to, based on the sun if we need it as well. So if you right click and you wanted to add shadows on it, actually I'll bring it up higher to my screen just a little bit. I'll select it, we'll right click. You can actually go down here and go on shadows. And what happens is you'll notice some shadows will actually appear, and it just makes this read a lot better. So again, we'll come to this area, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say shadows. You'll notice more shadows. So again, I'll do it here. And again, I want to be consistent all the way through with my top images. We'll say shadows there as well. Now you'll notice it's pretty dark shadows. And it's a lot of times that could be because these shadows are actually based on the position of the sun. So if you get to a point where it gets dark like that and it creates a little bit of inconsistency, then you may not want to have shadows selected. But you could still see there's, on certain images, you might not want it. So let's see how it looks on this one. So I'm going to go right click and I'm going to say shadows. Nope, I don't want it on that one. But I want it on the rest there because I want to be able to show how this geometry works and some of the sides and angles associated with this building here. So now we have our perspectives in place. Pretty cool, right? So again, let's see what happens if you get rid of this shadow. That might actually affect how this glass looks. Nope. Let me put that one back. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to get some actual elevations, kind of based, off of front, left, right, and back. So I know this will be my front, and I know this will be my right. So I'll go front, right, back, left. Or, maybe we'll just go straight to the back, just so it lines here. So we'll go front, right, left, back. So if I want to do that, I can select multiple and copy. So select one, hold down Shift to select multiple. Control C for copy, Control V for paste. It'll take a second here because we're doing 4 rendered images here. So now I'm just going to move them down. And what I want to do is I want to keep in mind that I need to leave room for text. We're going to add a little bit later, and maybe even some dimensions. Well, we won't add dimensions to elevations, but we definitely want to leave room for text and labels that are going to go here and there. So now I can hit escape to kind of accept what's there, and now I can come into any of these views, and now I'm going to set these to front elevation views. I'm going to do that by selecting front, but also by deselecting perspective. So we'll start off here. I'm going to select this one. Right click. I'm going to get rid of perspective, and it's going to give you this weird parallel projection view, but no worries. And I'm going to go right click again, and this time I'm going to go to standard views, and I'm going to say front. And what it'll do a little bit of thinking here, but it'll actually give me the true elevation. So now I can kind of scroll out, and you can see a difference in the size here. That's not a problem at all. I can double click it. Again, we can just zoom in a little further to increase the size of this. All right, and we can hit escape, or we can just click down here on the bottom to kind of accept that view. So now we have what the true elevation view looks like with parallel projection, but we also have our perspective. Do the same thing here. So I'm going to kind of scroll down a little bit here, and what I'm going to go ahead and right click, get rid of perspective, right click again, and I can say, this time we'll go to standard views, and we'll say right, and it'll give me the right side. And then again, we'll kind of double click in there, and then we'll zoom in, scrolling with your wheel to match up the size. I'll hit escape, and this one I'll probably need to actually get rid of the shadows. I really don't want this super dark elevation, so I'm going to right click, get rid of shadows, and it should lighten it up just a little bit. Perfect. So we can continue the rest with these two, but I'm going to show you one more trick here. Let's say we don't want all this to be color. We want to kind of break the monotony of this real quick and really give different perspectives of this. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to styles, and let's go ahead and zoom up a little bit so you can see the multiple styles we have available to us. So select your image, right click, go to styles, and take a look at all the styles we have. So we're going to go to a hidden line style, and that's going to be more black and white. And we're also going to keep shadows on as well. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to right click, styles, hidden line. So you get your more traditional look when it comes to these elevations. So I have the traditional looking straight on elevations, parallel projection, and I have color perspectives that really finish telling the story about what the exterior of this building looked like. So again, might as well go ahead and take care of these guys while we're here. So again, we'll go to styles. And again, let me scroll up a little better. Get a better visual of what we're doing. Right click, styles, and we're going to go to hidden line. If you can't see it, it's just below there on your window. Again, I'm going to right click, styles, hidden line. Perfect. So let's go ahead and parallel project these. So we have front, right. Let's do this one, will be our left. So get rid of perspective, right click, standard views, left. Double click, scroll in a couple times, match our sizes, click down on the bottom to accept, and we'll go to the next one. And really quickly, we'll finish this one out. So we'll right click, get rid of perspective, we'll right click again, we'll go to styles, actually I'm sorry, we'll go to views. This time we'll go to back. Double click inside, do a few clicks to match up our size, click on the bottom, and we're in business. Perfect. So we're not done yet with this page. I want to show you how we can use our scrapbooks here. And this is this lovely little tool palette. And this one actually will allow us to work with a lot of pre-made symbols that will definitely cut down our presentation prep time by significantly. So I'll meet you in the next lesson where we use scrapbooks to add some titles to our drawings here.